Okay. Yesterday's class we discussed about finding LCM and HCF, isn't it? We discussed how to find the LCM and HCF of two given numbers. Whenever we are asked to find LCM and HCF, what is the first step we have to do? We are asked to find LCM and HCF of the two given numbers. So first thing what we will do, we will, what do you have to do? Suppose you are given two numbers.
Factorize.
Very good, Aditya. So we have to prime factorize it. First, you prime factorize the given numbers. And for writing LCM, we will be collecting and writing all the prime factors, isn't it? We will write all the prime factors. Okay, and if any of the prime factors are repeated, we will write the factor with the greater exponent. Larger exponent we should write for LCM. And what about HCF? What about for HCF? We write those numbers with
highest common factor.
for HCF, is it highest? Highest common factor, okay. For HCF, how will you write the factors? We write only the common factors which are present in all the numbers, and we write with the smallest exponent. Smaller exponent only we will write. Okay. Now write this question. This is application of this question. Write this. There is a circular path. Write the question. There is a circular path around a sports field. There is a circular path around a sports field. Sonia takes 18 minutes. Sonia, take 18 minutes. Afsana, read the question, Afsana. Afsana,
Yes, ma'am.
read the question.
There is a circular path around the sports field. Sonia takes 18 minutes to drive one round of the field, while Ravi takes 12 minutes for the same. Suppose they both start at the same point and at the same time and go in the same direction. After how many minutes will they meet again at the starting point?
Okay. So there is a circular path around a sports field. Sonia takes 18 minutes to drive one round of the field, while Ravi takes 12 minutes for the same. Okay. Suppose they both start at the same time and start at the same point and go in the same direction. After how many minutes will they meet again at the starting point? What do you have to find here? Okay, there are two persons, Sonia and Ravi. The first one, Sonia takes 18 minutes to take one round, and Ravi takes 12 minutes for the same. Suppose they both start.
Which
Yes.
question we have to write? That first one only, no?
Yes. There's a circular path around a sports field. And Ravi takes 12 minutes for the same. Suppose they both start at the same time and go in the same direction. After how many minutes will they meet again? Okay, how will you solve this question? Okay, tell me, children, what is given in the question? What is given in the question? One of you read the question. Copied that question. Vishnu Priya, read the
Ma'am,
question.
show the screen
Can
one
you
more
show
time.
it once more?
Okay, Vishnu Priya, read the question.
Yes, ma'am.
There is a circular path around a sports field. Sonia takes 18 minutes to drive one round of the field, while Ravi takes 12 minutes for the same. Suppose they both start at the same point and at the same time and go in the same direction. After how many minutes will they meet at the starting point?
Okay. After how many minutes will they meet again at the starting point? Okay. How to do this?
Now we should take LCM of 18 and 12.
Very good. Why we are taking LCM? Okay. So it is given. Sonia takes how many minutes to complete the round?
18.
18. Okay, she takes 18 minutes, isn't it? And what is the name of the next person? Is the other person?
Ravi,
Ravi. Ravi takes
12
12
minutes.
minutes.
12 minutes. Okay, so Ravi takes 12 minutes to complete the round. So Ravi takes 12 minutes for completing the round. So, okay, imagine such a situation here. Okay, both will start from a point. They are starting from the same point. They take a round and again returning back. Okay, so for the first person, he takes 18 minutes and the second person, he takes 12 minutes. So what is the time needed here? How much time is needed for both to meet at the same place? Means what you have to find? We need to find a number which is greater than these two. Isn't it? We want to find a number. Okay, first person takes 18 minutes. Second person takes 12 minutes to complete one round. So is it possible to meet less than this 18 or 12? Okay, it is not possible for them to meet with a time minutes less than 18 or less than 12. Okay, we want a number which is greater than these two. That means what you have to find? We want to find
LCM.
LCM. Okay, so record number is equal to LCM of 18 and 12. Record one is you have to find the LCM of 18 and 12. You start with the number 18. You prime factorize this 18. 18 if you divide it by 2, 9, 3 and 3. If you take the next number 12. 12 if you divide it by 2 you'll get 6. Again if you divide it by 3 get 3. So 18 we can write this as 2 into 3 square. And what about 12? 2 square into 3. Therefore what is the LCM here? Whenever we write the LCM, we should write all the factors, isn't it? We should write all the factors.
2 square into 3 square.
Yes, it is 2 square into 3 square, which is 4 into 9. So that is 36 minutes. Okay. They will meet after again at 36 minutes. Okay. They take 36 minutes to meet once again. Okay. Is it clear, children? So with this 36 minutes. So after 36 minutes, they will meet again. Okay. After 36 minutes, they will meet again. Now write the next one. Write the next question. Explain why. Write the next one. Explain why. Explain why 5 into 7 into 9 into 11 plus 11 into 13 is a composite number. Explain why 5 into 9, 7 into 9 into 11 plus 11 into 13 is a composite number. Why this is a composite number? Why we say this is a composite number?
Odd number.
All numbers are prime numbers.
Whole numbers are prime numbers? Whether all the whole numbers are prime numbers? It's
No,
not like-
ma'am.
Then why
Odd
we,
numbers are prime.
all the odd numbers are not prime? If you take 9, is it prime? If you take 9, is it prime? 9 is not a prime number, isn't it? We can't say all the odd numbers are prime. Okay, except 2, all the other prime numbers are odd, except 2. 2 is the only even prime number.
Yes, ma'am.
So here, you have to prove, explain why this is a composite number. What is the definition we have learned for composite number? Yes, tell me, when you say a number is a composite number,
More than 2 factors.
yes, when a number has more than 2 factors, when the given number has more than 2 factors, we can say it is composite. Yes, Lolita, when it has more than 2 factors, we can say it is composite. So here also, okay, you are given a lengthy number, lengthy expression, and you have to check whether it is composite or not. So for that, what you can do, look at the given, okay, numbers. Here we have 2 terms. This is one number plus this one, isn't it? 5 into 7 into 9 into 11, this is one term plus this second one. From these 2 terms, which one you can take it as common? Which is the common number present there?
11.
11. So 11 into is common. So we can take 11 into as common. So what is left out? 5 into 7 into 9 plus 13. This 5 into 7 into 9 plus 13. So that is 11 into, when you multiply this, 7 5s are 35. 35 into 9 plus 13. That is 11 into, what is 35 into 9? 315 plus 13. So we can write this as 11 into 328. We can write this as 11 into 328. So look at the given number. So this number, we are able to write this as 11 into 328. That means 11 is a factor. Is or no? Okay, look at this. 1 second, children, please listen. Suppose, look, take the number 32. 32, we are able to write 2 into 16. That means 2 is a factor of 32. 16 is a factor of 32. Is or no? If you are able
Yes,
to write
ma'am.
a number as product of 2 numbers, means both the numbers are the factors. Same way here, you are given a number like this, 5 into 7 into 9 into 11 plus 11 into 13. From these 2 numbers, we can take 11 into, we look at the, compare these 2 numbers and we check which is the common one. We take the common one outside. If we take the common one outside, we'll add the left out is 5 into 7 into 9 plus 13. Now, if you look at the bracket, inside the bracket, we have 5 into 7 into 9. When we simply multiply this, we will get 315 plus 30. So the given number, we are able to write it as 11 into 328. So 11 is a factor. Okay, 11 is a factor. Similarly, 328 is a factor. Is that no? Okay, and we know that one
Yes,
is the
ma'am.
factor of every number. If you take any number, one is
Odd
a
number.
it is a factor of all the numbers. So 1 is a factor. Okay, if you take the product, that product will be a factor. So the given composite number, the given number has more than 2 factors. It has more than 2 factors. When a number has more than 2 factors, it will be composite. Therefore, the given number is composite. No need to multiply and make it as a single number. Okay. The only thing you have to say is it has more than 2 factors.
Ma'am, when we get final one answer, then what will be?
Final one answer. Which one? Wait, here.
That 11 into 328.
No need to multiply and write it as a single one. You write like this. Here, we don't want the value. We want to say it is a composite number. We have to show it is a composite number. That means what you have to prove? It can be written as product of 2 or 3 numbers. Here you are getting it as product of 2 numbers. That means it has more than 2 factor. Yes or no?
Yes.
When will you say it is a prime number? It has one and itself are the factors. One
Ma'am,
and
given
itself.
number is composite only, no?
Yes, you have to prove it. It is composite. We know that one, but here you have to prove it means we express it.
Ma'am,
Okay,
last line you wrote. Given
sorry,
number
it is a
is-
composite number, not prime. Composite. It is not a prime number, so it is a composite number. It is not prime. It has more than 2 factors, therefore it is a composite number. Okay, the given number is composite. Prime number means it will have exactly 2 factors. Here it is having more than 2 factors. Therefore, it is composite. So like this, some simple questions will be given and you may be asked to check, is it prime or composite? So here and all, no need to multiply and make it as a number. After multiplication, you check whether you are getting either able to expand, write it as some product of 2 numbers. Okay. Now write the next one. Check whether 7 into 11 into 13 plus 13 is a composite number or not. Check whether 7 into 11 into 13 plus 13 is a composite number or not. So from these 2 terms, which one you
What
can
is the question?
check whether 7 into 11 into 13 plus 13 is a composite number or not. Check whether 7 into 11 into 13 plus 13 is a composite number or not.
Ma'am, so we can simply do the calculation and find the number, right?
Find
Instead
the
of
number means what is the definition we have learned? How will you understand the given number
more
is a
than 1 factor will be there.
more than 2 factors are there. Okay, so we have to check whether is there having more than 2 factors. Okay, if you write multiply and write it as a single number, we are not showing that. Instead of that, what you can do, if you write this as product of 2 numbers, it is understandable that 2 numbers are factors. Already 1 is a factor and the given number is a factor. So no, when you multiply and make it a single number, that number will be a factor. Every number is a factor of itself, isn't it? Every number is a factor of itself. So we will get more than 2 factors. So in order to prove that, we do like this. Okay, so now from these 2 terms, which one you can take it as common?
13.
13. 13 into, if you take it outside. So 7 into 11 plus 1. So we can write this as 13 into 78. Okay, so clearly it is understandable that it is more than 2 factors are there, which has more than 2 factors. Therefore, it is a composite number. It has more than 2 factors. Therefore, it is a composite number. okay, which has more than 2 factors. Therefore, it is a composite number. Okay. Okay, children. Lolita, is it okay? Nas Parveen?
Yes, sir.
Sainaba is there?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is Sainaba? Ah, okay, okay, Nas. Right, the next one. Next one. Check whether. Next question. Check whether 6 raised to n. Check whether 6 raised to n can end with. Check whether 6 raised to n can end with the digit 0. Can end with the digit 0. Check whether 6 raised to n can end with the digit 0 for any natural number small n. For any natural number small n. Check whether 6 raised to n can end with the digit 0 for any natural number small n. How to check this? Okay, we have to check whether 6 raised to n will end with 0 or not. Okay, suppose a number ends with 0. What you can say? Suppose a number ends
It will
with
be divisible with 5.
yes. Okay, very good, Prajot. And Mary, suppose a number ends with 0. What you can say about that number? A number ends with 0. You take the number 20 or 30. If a number ends with 0, what we can say? And Mary? It is divisible by 10. 10. It is divisible by
Ma'am, 5.
10 means if you take the prime factors, what are the prime factors of 10?
2 and 5.
2
2
and
and
5.
5.
Okay, 2 and 5. So if a number ends with 10, we can 0 means we can say that it is divisible by 10. But if you again prime factorize 10, 2 and 5 are the prime factors. Is or no? Similarly, suppose a
Yes,
number
ma'am.
ends with 2. What you can say? A number ends with 2.
It is divisible by 2.
It is divisible by 2. Okay, it is divisible by 2. A number ends with 5.
Should be divisible.
It is divisible by 5.
It is divisible by 5. Okay, if a number ends with 0, then it is divisible by 10. 10 means it is 2 and 5. Okay. So now look at this question. You have to check whether 6 raised to n can end with the digit 0 for any natural number. Okay. So suppose, okay, look at here. Suppose we use here contradiction method. We use the contradiction method. So suppose 6 raised to n ends with 0. Suppose, yeah, it ends with 6, 0. That means 6 raised to n is divisible by 10. It is divisible by 10. That means you'll get 2 and 5 are prime factors of 6 raised to n. 2 and 5 are prime factors of 6 raised to n. Is or no? 10, we can split this as 2 and 5. So we get 2 and 5 are prime factors of 6 raised to n. Now once again, you start with 6 raised to n. We have learned the laws of exponents, isn't it? We have learned laws of exponents. 6 raised to n, how we can split this?
2 into 3 all raised to n.
Yes, we can split this as 2 into 3 raised to n. That means it is 2 raised to n and 3 raised to n. So when we prime factorize 6 raised to n, we will get only the numbers 2 and 3. So when we prime factorize 6 raised to n, we will get the factors as 2 and 3. Powers of 2 and powers of 3 will be the factors. So that implies 2 and 3 are prime factors of 6 raised to n. 2 and 3 are prime factors of 6 raised to n. So here we get 2 and 5 are prime factors. Here we get 2 and 3 are prime factors. But what the fundamental theorem says, whenever we prime factorize a number, it will be unique. Whenever we prime factorize a number, it will be unique. Here we get 2 and 5 are prime factors. Here 2 and 3 are prime factors, isn't it? So by fundamental theorem, we know that prime factorization is unique. Okay, by fundamental theorem, prime factorization of a number is unique. Okay, prime factorization of a number is unique. Therefore, our assumption is wrong. What is our assumption? What is the assumption we took in the beginning?
Ends with 0.
Ends with 0. Therefore, our assumption is wrong. Therefore, 6 raised to n will never end with 0. 6 raised to n will never end with 0.
Ma'am, can you scroll up?
6 raised to n will never end with 0. Okay. So suppose, okay, to the question is check whether 6 raised to n ends with 0. For that, we start with suppose it ends with 0. A number ends with 0 means it is divisible by 10. So 10 means we can prime factorize it and we can write this as 2 and 5. So we get 2 and 5 are prime factors of 6 raised to n. 2 and 5 are prime factors of 6 raised to n. Again, if we take 6 raised to n, 6 we can write this as 2 into 3 raised to n, which is equal to 2 raised to n into 3 raised to n. Therefore, we get 2 and 3 are prime factors of 6 raised to n. 2 and 3 are prime factors of 6 raised to n. So by fundamental theorem of arithmetic, okay, here you should mention using this theorem only, we prove it here, okay. By fundamental theorem of arithmetic, prime factorization of a number is unique. Therefore, our assumption is wrong. Therefore, it will not end with 0. It will never end with 0. Okay. Is it okay, Aman? Aman Shakir?
Can you scroll down?
Hmm?
Can you scroll down?
Okay. Now try the next one. Write the next one. Can 15 raised to n, can 15 raised to n end with the digit 0? Can 15 raised to n end with the digit 0? And 15 raised to n end with the digit 0 for any natural number n. For any natural number n. Can 15 raised to n end with the digit 0 for any natural number n? Can 15 raised to n end with the digit 0 for any natural number n? How will you prove this?
Ma'am, can you repeat?
Can 15 raised to n end with the digit 0? Can 15 raised to n end with the digit 0? Can 15 raised to n end with the digit 0 for any natural number small n? Yes, write the proof. How will you write? What is the proof? Yes, Fia, give the first step.
It is 15 raised to n is divisible by 10.
Okay, first before that you should write the step. Suppose, okay, this method we call it as contradiction method. Okay, note down the methods. Okay, for the assertive reasoning type of questions and all, they will give this words and you'll ask to identify which method you use here. Here we prove it by using contradiction. First we assume the opposite and finally we will get a contradiction there. It is not possible. Okay, we are getting that it is not possible. So that method we call it as contradiction method. Okay, so suppose 15 raised to n ends with 0. Yes, Fia, proceed. Where is Fia?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Then 2 into 5 are prime factors of 10. No, 15 raised to n.
So suppose it ends with 0 means you will get 2 and 5 are prime factors of 15 raised to n.
Then 15 raised to n is equal to 3 into 5 whole raised to n.
Yes, 15 raised to n, we can write this as 3 into 5 whole raised to n. Therefore, we get 3 and 5 as
prime factors of 15n.
15 raised to n. So we get 3 and 5 as prime factors of 15 raised to n. So therefore, what we can say, whether the prime factors are same, Prajot?
Yes, ma'am.
Whether the prime factors are same, are they unique?
No.
No. So what you can write, which theorem we are using there for proving this?
Fundamental theorem.
Fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Okay, by fundamental theorem of arithmetic, we know that prime factorization is unique. But here we are not getting unique. It is not same. Therefore, our assumption is wrong. Therefore, 15 raised to n will never end with 0. 15 raised to n will never end with 0.
Here it is unique or not?
Is it unique? In the first case, what are the factors we got? In the first case, when it is ending with 0, we get the prime factors as 2 and 5, isn't it? In the second case, using the laws of exponents, 15 raised to n, we can write this as 3 into 5. So in the first case, we get 2 and 5 are factors. And in the second case, we get 3 and 5 are factors. So is it unique? No, isn't it? Okay, it is different. In the first case, you get 2 and 3, 2 and 5. In the second case, we get 3 and 5. So it is not unique. Therefore, it is not. Therefore, our assumption is wrong. Assumption is wrong.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Now, write the next heading. Revisiting irrational numbers. Next heading, revisiting irrational numbers. Revisiting irrational numbers. Can you list out some irrational numbers? Can you give
Root
some
2, root 3.
root 2, root 3? Okay, so examples
1 by root 2.
1 by root 2, root 3, root 5, pi are some irrational numbers, isn't it? Or some irrational numbers. Now, based on decimal expansion, what you can say? Based on decimal expansion. Based on the decimal expansion, how will you say, is it rational or irrational?
It is if it is terminating.
Very good. Okay, so in based on decimal expansion, listen, suppose it is terminating, if the decimal expansion terminates. Okay, for example, if you take 1 by 2, 1 by 2 means it will become 0.5. So it terminates, it stops. Okay, then it is a rational number. Okay, therefore the given number is a rational number. If the decimal expansion terminates, it is a rational number. Okay, if it is non-terminating, then if it is non-terminating, what you can do? We can go for the further case. Okay, again we have to check, look at the decimal places. Is it recurring? Recurring means, otherwise we call it as repeating. Okay, if it is recurring or if it is repeating. Okay, for example, if you take 1 by 3, it is 0.333, it goes on, isn't it? So we can write this as 0.3 bar. Okay, so if it is recurring means it is again rational number. If the decimal expansion is recurring, then it is a rational number. Non-terminating, recurring means it is a rational number. If it is non-terminating and non-recurring, if it is non-terminating and non-recurring, non-recurring means it is not repeating. If it is non-recurring and non-repeating, then, okay, for example, if I give a number like this, 1.7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So the digits are not repeated. Okay, it is coming in some order. So it is not repeating, non-recurring. That means it is an irrational number. It is an irrational number. Okay, so based on the decimal expansion, if the decimal expansion is terminating, it is rational. If the decimal expansion is terminating, it is rational. If the decimal expansion is non-terminating, again you look at the digits. Is it repeating? Whether the digits are repeated. If the digits are repeated, then it is a rational number. If the digits are non-repeating, non-terminating, non-repeating means it is an irrational number. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So based
Ma'am, will
on
you show the heading?
revisiting irrational number. Revisiting irrational number. Okay. Now children, the question for the exam will be like this. Write this question. Give two rational numbers between 1 by 2 and 1 by 5. Give two rational numbers between 1/2 and 1/5. Can you give two rational numbers between 1/2 and 1/5?
1/2.
So what you can do?
1/3.
1/2 and 1/5. You write the decimal form. It will be easy for you. Okay. What is 1/2 in decimal form?
0.2.
0.2 or 0.5? 0.5.
0.5.
And 1/5 means it is 0.2. If you
0.2.
make it as decimal, it will be easy. So we want to give a number between 0.2 and 0.5. Now, can you give some numbers?
0.3 and 0.4.
Yes, you can give 0.3. You can give 0.35. Yes or no? You can give 0.391. These are all terminating. You can give 0.4. Like this, you can give so many numbers. Okay. These are some examples of rational numbers. Suppose the question is irrational number. Can you give two irrational numbers between 1/2 and 1/5?
1/√2.
See, the question is 1/2 and 1/5. Give two irrational numbers between 1/2 and 1/5. Irrational number
3.
1/3.
between 1/2 and 1/5. 1/3, is it irrational or rational?
Rational.
How? What is the definition of rational number? Any number which can be written in the form P/Q. 1/3, is it whether we are able to write in the form of P/Q?
No, ma'am.
Is it P/Q form? Where P and Q are integers and Q not equal to 0. That is the definition, isn't it? Whenever we are able to give in this form, P/Q form, with numerator and denominator, that and all will be rational. So 1/3 is always rational.
Rational number.
Okay, 1/3 is not irrational. This one we can write it in the form of P/Q. We can write with a number in the numerator and we can write a number in the denominator. So 1/3 is rational number. It is not irrational, but the decimal expansion is non-terminating. Okay. So what will be the answer? What we have learned? If the decimal expansion is non-terminating and not repeating, isn't it? That means 1/2, we know that 0.2, 0.5, and 1/5 is 0.2. You want a number between 0.2 and 0.5. We want to find some irrational number between 0.2 and 0.5. So how will you find? We can write some numbers. Okay, 0.321. You write some numbers in any order and you put dot, 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 dot. So it is non-terminating, not repeating. It is non-terminating, not repeating, etc. This dot, dot, dot you should keep. Suppose I write like this, 0.1907. You write some numbers in any order, but it should be lying between 0.2 and 0.5. Okay. Now can you give the answer? Can you give one number? Irrational number.
0.5678.
5678. How it will come? Look at here. Here the maximum value is 0.5.
0.321.
0.321. You write some numbers. Okay, 70986. Then you put dot, dot, dot. If you are not writing the dot, dot, yes, etc., that means it is terminating. Here, whenever it is irrational, you should put etc. to indicate that it is non-terminating. Okay, so decimal expansion of a rational number will be terminating. Decimal expansion of an irrational number is non-terminating and not repeating. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so you can stop with this. Okay, so go through all the concepts what you have learned today and come. And I hope you are doing the questions for practicing for the test paper. Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
children.
Thank you, ma'am.